If there was ever a modern Super Mini you could take to retro rides or just any nostalgic car festival, the new Fiat Grande Panda would surely be one of the best. Those boxy, cheery looks, funky paint colours that don't include grey, and white steelies that you can get as standard make this car a retro enthusiast's dream. Oh, and it's got more Easter eggs hidden inside and out than we could ever tell you, but we'll get to that in a minute. And in case you wondered, in the studio here we've got the old one next to the new one. And what immediately strikes you is how different but yet similar both of them are. So, in terms of size, there's quite a lot to compare. Look how much bigger this one is compared to this one. That's modern cars for you. But at the same time, there are plenty of design elements that are quite similar. If you look on the old one here, these little vents in the bonnet are mimicked on the wheel arches here. And inside, there's a little storage bin on the dashboard there. That's exactly the same as on the inside of this one. And the steering wheels, they're the same design. Put simply, the Grande Panda is what happens when a manufacturer thinks outside the box. It represents a creative, cheery attitude to design that we are literally crying out for. It's got some really nice touches, from those panda indents in the bodywork to a really clever retractable charging cable. It's one of the first cars to have this, and seriously, why hasn't any manufacturer thought of it before? And it stretches to 4.5 metres, so it's going to be good enough for most people. But it's not the only example of cunning engineering. It sits on Stellantis' smart car platform, which can fit both combustion engines and electric drivetrains. It shares the platform with the Citroën EC3 and the Vauxhall Frontera, and the platform itself derives from the old CMP underpinnings, which date back to the days when Fiat was owned by PSA. Mix this with some slightly older battery tech, and you've got a car that can reasonably compete with low-cost competitors from China. Because the car and the platform on which it sits have been built down to a price, Fiat is able to offer it from just over £18,000. The electric one is going to be just less than £21,000. Now that makes the electric one of the cheapest new EVs on sale today, and it's beaten by only a couple of competitors from Leapmotor and Dacia. The electric version has a 44 kWh battery that's good for 199 miles of range, and the battery is paired with a 111 brake horsepower electric motor to give it a 0 to 62 time of 11 seconds. That won't set the world on fire, but remember, the original Panda needed about 15 seconds, and most of its competitors are about as quick. But if you want a slightly faster version, you can also have a 1.2 litre mild hybrid petrol with 99 brake horsepower that gets to 60 in around 10 seconds. That one and this electric version are going to be the only two available drivetrains for now. But now that's the sensible stuff dealt with, let's take a look at this car's Easter eggs. And we'll start with its boxy silhouette, which is designed to mimic that of the original Panda. There's this little Fiat badge on the C-pillar that changes depending on which angle you're looking at it from. You get these big Panda letters stamped into the side. Now that nods to the original 1980 model. At the back, there's more Fiat badging stamped into the bodywork. You get 3D Panda lettering here, these rather nifty square rear lights, and at the front, the design of the headlamps is designed to mimic that of the windows on Fiat's old Lingotto factory in Turin. The designers knew they had an important car here. It's so important, in fact, that it's going to influence the next generation of Fiats. So it had to be right. There are references to the Lingotto factory pretty much all over this car, and in here, you don't really need to look very hard to find them. So on top of the dashboard here, this circular design, that is meant to mimic the rooftop test track on that factory, and you can see a little original Panda going around it here, which is a nice touch. And speaking of nice touches, there are plenty of them around here. Door cards here, and they've got little Fiat indents on them. The seat backs, got a nice little message there. And up here on the dashboard, you've got the option of bamboo fibre text, which is recyclable material, obviously part made from bamboo. And inside it, got a nice storage bin. There's also about as much technology in here as you realistically need in a Super Mini. There's a 10.25-inch touchscreen in here that's pretty easy to use, and it'll be familiar to you if you've ever driven something like a Citroen or a Peugeot before. And there are some digital dials straight ahead of you. But aside from that, it's pretty traditional. Look at the rotary controls for the ventilation system. And it might look small on the outside, but it's quite practical in here, with loads of little storage bins and cubbies dotted around. Here in the back, it's also spacious enough that you're not really going to want for any more room on a longer journey. Knee room for me is perfectly fine behind my driving position, and the boxy profile means the headroom, that's pretty good as well. I think people over 6 foot are going to be fine back here. In the boot, the hybrid model gets 412 litres, which is actually class leading and beats even models from the class above. However, the electric one here gets 361 litres, which is still pretty spacious and only a little bit less than even the Renault Megane. But it's not the practicality that impresses us most about this car. It's that sense of creativity I told you about at the beginning of the video. This only helps its case because it's just as spacious, frugal, cost-effective, attractive and cheap to run as all of its fiercest rivals. But none of them have a reference to a test track on their dashboards. Sadly, however, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to know more about this car, you can head to autocar.co.uk or visit our new Apple News feed. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.